Hello guys and dolls, welcome back to Honey Badger 3D Print and Paint. Today we are taking a look at the king of the ocean, Aquaman. Before we get started, roll those credits. Okay, so this Aquaman is from B3dserk, or Berserk, depending on how you want to call them. This is the Jason Momoa head that they did. They have an amazing Patreon. Please go and check it out. Berserk also are done by the same guys who do Wicked. They also have a Star Wars one where we got our really cool lightsabers from, which we still need to paint. This model I really love for a lot of reasons. So Aquaman in his classic, or his more classic armor, isn't very interesting. So he's really only two colors. There's a bit of low lighting. He's not very interesting. But what's happened with this model is something that doesn't normally happen with me. So on most models that we have, the base is very much an afterthought. So case in point would be something like this Star Wars model. So you can see here, you've got one of these, let's call it a TIE Interceptor. I'm not really sure what model it is, but you can see that the base is just kind of a stick thing, and it's meant to look a little bit like it's on a launcher, I suppose, but it's very much, the base was an afterthought. That is very common with a lot of models. If we take a look at our Osriel model, the giant Osriel that we did, he's just walking up some stairs. You know, it's not anything that's going to set your world on fire. It's not anything that is necessarily amazing. Now, the model itself is incredibly detailed, but invariably people just use smoke or some rocks, and that's it. What I love about this model, and we'll take a look around it in a second, is that the shark and the base really are part of this model. They add to the story, they add to the narrative. He's not just a weird guy standing on a rock striking a hero pose. You know, there's like almost an action scene going on. So before we go any further, let's delve into the close-ups. So I'm really, really happy with how this turned out. This is a mixture of FDM and resin printing. So the shark, believe it or not, the head, the front part of the head was done in resin because there was just no way I was going to be able to get those teeth perfect in FDM. But the rest of the shark and all of the base are done on the Bamboo Labs carbon. They're done at a 0.08 layer height. They took a little bit longer, but I think you'll agree that the overall effect was really, really solid. All of Jason Momoa was done on the Mega 8K from Frozen. That 8K detail, you just can't match it. So the big build volume meant that we could do all of Jason, all of Aquaman in one print. And then we put the shark's head on separately, and again that printed beautifully. No support scarring because Chi2 Box did an absolutely amazing job of doing those auto supports. So there's no support scarring. Came out really, really nice. This is about 150% of the original size of the STLs. The main reason we didn't go to our traditional 200 was, one, I need to be able to put this somewhere. And once again, the added height here is just this one thing. So the added height is obviously his trident. If he hadn't have had the trident, I would have actually done the whole thing 200% scale because I think it would have looked really cool. But as it was, he's tall anyway, so I didn't do it. Few different techniques here. So most of this was done with airbrushing. I have found some new paints. They are called Lumiere. They are a metallic paint. They come in quite a large pot. You can buy them on Amazon. I'll pop a link in the video description. But these Lumiere paints go on quite thick. You can water them down and airbrush them. But the colours that they do, the metallic colours that they do, are really, really nice. So this is the Lumiere Gold, the Lumiere Green, and there's actually metallic in the shark as well. So I hope you can see that there are points where I base coated him in a metallic blue, and then I really sort of low lit him and did some other blues and some blacks and things to try and not make him look metal, but to try and give him that shine, to try and give him that wet look almost. So I'm really, really happy with how he came out overall. I think you'll agree that the effect of the shark and his mouth and everything else just came out really, really good. Berserk and Wicked have some absolutely stunning models. I maintain that they are doing some of, if not the best resin models on the market right now. They are, for me, the top Patreon that you can go out and get. Our Green Goblin, our Osriel, obviously Aquaman. We've done multiple models from Berserk and from Wicked, and frankly, I think they're all really, really detailed. There's not that many models that you can blow up to 200-300% their original size, and what you actually start to find is more details that you didn't notice before. Most models, once they start to get larger, they have big open spaces. You start to even lose a little bit of detail because the details get stretched out. The textures, the quality, the layering, and everything they put into these models is huge. So absolutely go and check those guys out. The link is in the video description for that. To be clear, this is not a sponsored video by them. We don't get anything from it. I'm just recommending to you one of the best Patreons that's available on the market right now. So yeah, I mean, overall, we're probably looking at about 250 hours of printing. That was mainly the base because I was doing that at that 0.08 layer height. And doing that. If I'd have done all of this in resin, I probably would have shrunk that down to about 100 hours because a lot of this would have fitted on singular build plates. But I just wanted to try and keep the cost down a little bit. Obviously, resin is still double the price of FDM, so it can just a little bit cheaper to do it this way. And again, I don't think it's spoiled the overall effect. I think it all still looks really, really nice. Paints wise and painting, this was probably about 25 hours worth of painting. There's a lot of layers to it, waiting for those layers to dry and then sort of trying to layer up. I quite like the contrast that I managed to get in the mouth where you've got a pinkness to the gums but a bit more redness to the tongue. Trying to create those shades is quite complicated. So I mix in my paint in my airbrush, and I mix directly in my airbrush to get those paints. Unfortunately, what that tends to mean is that if I need to go over an area, it's actually really difficult because I have to try and mix exactly the same colour all over again, and that causes some issues. I went over the water in a PVA glue to try and give it a little bit of that, you know, a little bit of that gloss, a little bit of that depth. I'll be honest and say that I should have waited longer. I dry brushed on the white for the crests of my waves. I should have waited longer to put the PVA glue on because it ended up doing a bit of blending for me, but actually I preferred it when it wasn't blended, when it was sort of quite a crisp look to the dry brushing. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think of this model. If there's other models that Berserk or Wicked have done that you'd like to see us do, drop them in the comments and we'll take a look and we'll see whether or not we can do something cool with those as well. So thanks very much for joining us. I'll catch you on the next video. See you later.